not be able to stay home, brother.
You know, when they ask you that, you just say yes.
Soup salad or breadsticks?
I would love this.
Yes.
I would love the super salad.
Hey, my peeps. Sorry, my microphone keeps coming unmuted for some reason that it's not supposed to do that. So if we have any issues in this episode where I just go silent for a second, that's probably why. Anyway, we can cut that if you want. Hey, peeps. We're back with another episode of the Super Salad. This is issue number 5, Return of the Mack, due to some conversations we are going to be having that were going to be tons and fun. I'm sure everyone is going to agree with that statement that everything we say is going to be a lot of fun. And I am, of course, here with my awesome co-host, Nate. Nate, we are, of course, happy to have you.
What's up, OG Rachel? Happy New Year, my friend. Happy New Year
yes.
to everyone. This is our first show of the year here on the network. And as you mentioned, yes, we couldn't think of a lighter topic, a more festive topic to talk about than the subject of our main topic of the show this week. But we're also gonna try to sprinkle some things in there, Rach. We're gonna talk about Wonder Man.
Yes.
I know you're not a Marvel, like that's on the record. You're not a Marvel. But we're going to talk about Marvel's new show, which premieres on January 27th. And I think you and I, and perhaps even Ray, and maybe anybody else that joins us tonight, should come up with some New Year's resolutions for the superhero fandom.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I think gonna have to think about that.
Yes. But before we get started, Rachel, we do want to bring out the third member of the crew, the silent partner, if you will. Ray Williams, Two-Way Ray, is producing this episode, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any comments, any thoughts about what Rachel and I are discussing this evening, drop them in the chat, and Ray will bring them to our attention. Happy New Year, Ray Williams.
Happy New Year, good people. Always a pleasure to join you guys. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation. And yeah, let's get right into it, I guess.
Awesome. All right. Well, do you want to do the somewhat lighter stuff first?
I feel like we should start heavy first, but here's how we're gonna balance it, Rachel. Okay. We're gonna have a sandwich. We're gonna have a little bit of something to cut the tension off the top. Then we're gonna get into our big topic of the episode, and then we'll end up with the fun stuff. So Ray Williams, Rachel has let us know the name of this particular episode of the Super Salad Podcast. So Ray, can we get a little music before we get into this topic, please? One of the greatest songs ever. Sing it if you know it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's enough before the Mark Morrison people sue us, Ray.
Gotcha.
I want to cut it off before the Return of the Mack people sue us.
Yeah, that's some legal issues we don't need to talk about.
Yes, even though Rachel is one of the greatest lawyers in the world, I don't know if she can defeat the Mark Morrison people.
In the world. That definitely won't get us sued.
but before we get into this topic, Rach, like that is one of my favorite songs of all time, just because of how random it is. Like this dude. So little backstory on Return of the Mack. It was Mark Morrison's first big international hit song, and Mark Morrison is a British singer, and this song, I want to say it came out maybe either like junior year or senior year of high school for me. And it was just like the song. Like people were like, "Who is this guy? This is great. He's gonna have this amazing career." And that song, Rachel, was pretty much the only song to this day, that I've heard from this man, Mark Morrison. But like every time I hear it, it's a good time.
The one-hit wonders. It's so true. But like they always have the best songs.
Yes, and it really worked in that one episode of Legends of Tomorrow with Damien Dark.
Such a great episode. My amazing, I guess my godparents, maybe. Brandon Routh and Courtney Ford were in it. So I have to. They're my roommate's parents, so I guess I was like, they can't be my parents, but you know. Brandon and Courtney are great people. They're both awesome in that episode. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yes. So shout out to Mark Morrison, wherever he may be. He actually got paid this year. It was either this year or last year, Rachel, during the football playoffs. Lay's had a commercial where they were showcasing all of their chips. And the song that they were playing in the background was like a reworked version with Mark Morrison, like just popping out for no reason, talking about Return of the Snacks.
That's great. I'm sure he got a lot of money from that. So
I'm sure he got paid for it. So God bless him.
Very handsome.
Okay. So if you haven't figured it out by now, you probably haven't, but you know, maybe some of you have. The issue that I asked Nate that we could talk about today was, in fact, further discussion about a member of the Nexium cult that was not actually named after the antacid medication, but is also called that.
Hold on a second, Rach. I think the Nexium people are trying to shut down your microphones. You sounded like you're in a tunnel.
Oh no, not again. My microphone is having issues, but
you can't silence us, Nexium.
Can't.
We dare you, Nexium. Come and get us, and by us I mean Ray Williams.
No. I am an undisclosed.
Just don't open the door. You'll be okay, Ray. Just if they knock on your door, it's like sinners. Don't open the door, Ray.
Yes, don't open the door. That's legal advice. Don't open the door. If I come to your door, don't open the door. Legal advice. Anyway.
All right, let's see it. There you go, Ray. You're back.
Nate is humoring me, asking to talk about this piece of interesting information that is vaguely related to superhero media. So we talked about this a bit in the prior episode. Allison Mack was doing a podcast with these good people at what's called the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Company. A lot of some of the cult stuff happened in like Canada, so I think they had some interest in doing it. I may have mentioned this before. I'm a bit of a true crime podcaster person. This got me into podcasting in general. I think I just like cold looked up Legends of Tomorrow on podcasts one day and found the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, and that's how I got here. To put it easy. So I actually listened to the initial version of this podcast when the information about the cult first came out back in like 2019, where they were given all the stories about this and all that stuff. And then they had a whole big thing. Yes, Ray's
Nope.
Sorry, Mike not cooperating with me.
There you go.
It's from The Uncover, which was what it was called when I was initially listening to the podcast in 2019. And basically they in 2025 to do this mini series of Allison after Nexium. I thought this would be very interesting to listen to. I think I shared in the prior episode when we talked about her a bit that I really did like the character of Chloe on Smallville. And when I got into Smallville, like 2014, 2015. So like notably a long time after the show was actually popular. I was following her on Twitter, and I specifically remember clicking on like a website that she said, she's like, oh yeah, it's like a young girls empowerment program called like Jeunesse. And it turned out it was part of the cult that she was into. And she mentions Jeunesse specifically in this podcast series, and I was like, oh my god. I went to that website. Having a low-key freak out. My cat is joining me. Say hi, kitty. Yep. Okay. She's happy to be here. So I was really interested to listen to this podcast. I want to give out a disclaimer that my opinions are my own, and you are free to disagree with me. I may, if I talk from like some position of authority, I'm more so just discussing my own professional experience dealing with domestic violence victims and people that have been in abusive relationships. I'm by no means claiming to be speaking for like the field or like having an overarching right opinion, and that your another opinion that disagrees with me might, I'm not saying you're wrong. These are my personal feelings. So you can by all means disagree with me. There's plenty of people in the true crime podcast groups that disagree with me. But yeah, I just wanted to say that out. You know, I'm talking about my personal experience. I'm not claiming to be an expert in this field by any means. So the podcast, so if you're not familiar, she ended up pleading guilty to a bunch of charges that did not include sex trafficking. She did not end up pleading guilty to that charge, and testified against the main leader of the cult, who this awful man called Keith Raniere, who got sentenced to like 140 years in prison. He's dying in prison, basically. It was essentially life in prison sentence, where he should be, because he's a piece of goo. And she ended up with about 3 years in prison. I think she ended up serving 2 of them, and with time off for good behavior, something like that. And the podcast really just goes into her breaking down like how she got into the cults, and like how she was feeling during it, and just basically her entire state of mind while she was going through the trial. She was really talking about how like she was really a true believer in a lot of what was going on, and it took her like, she didn't turn on the leader until like 3/4 of the way through his trial, just because like it took her that long to like get out of the brainwashing that she was under for so long. And I watching this and listening to this, and I was like, this is, you know, it had a lot of similarities to a lot of the work that I do, where she was really in an abusive relationship with this man, as was this entire cult. It seemed like most of the people were basically in an abusive relationship with this man, who was also manipulating them sexually, as well as, you know, abusing them. And a lot of things that came out about her, some of them were done. I think one of the most outrageous things about the cult that came out, it was like they were branding people with it was supposed to be the initials of Keith Raniere, as well as, if you turn it a different way, it's supposed to be like her initials. Apparently that's not true, according to her at least, and that was like something that came out to try to like kind of deflect attention from him, to say, oh, you know, it was Allison's idea that we brand people, and if, you know, according to her, that's not true. But a lot of it was really just talking about like taking accountability. People have varying opinions about how, if they think she thought she took accountability with this podcast or not. I will say that. I will say, I think a generous reading of it would be that she was incredibly naive, going through all of this. She, you know, if we're taking her at her word, she was like, oh no, yeah, you're gonna go have sex with this guy and he's gonna like heal you, and she like genuinely did not like see any potential for abuse to go on there. It does also mention that she was under, very strict conditions with a diet he was imposing, that she was eating like 500 calories a day, which is an insanely low amount of food, and that your body cannot function like that. So she was probably not at like peak brain performance at the time, which is somewhat of an excuse. I can see, I see it going somewhat, but to me, the story was really much more about something that we see in a lot of true crime stuff about abusive relationships and being manipulated. And here she was manipulated in a way that caused her to harm other people. And when she did, eventually end up going to jail for it, she got to a point where she was like, I want to be accountable for what I did, but I also want to try to turn that into something better for the community. And I think she I think she said she works with like people who are incarcerated, doing like arts programs and stuff, which is admirable. She also goes on to talk about how she's now married to a very much reformed neo-Nazi, which was an interesting portion to add. Yeah.
Wow.
But it just sounds like
I didn't get to that part of the podcast yet, Rach.
Yeah. So he's apparently like, I guess, well known in former neo-Nazi circles.
Wow.
Wow.
But he had a bunch of like swastika tattoos and stuff, and like a whole bunch of things that he got like removed. So
wow.
I was like, that's a pretty painful commitment to no longer wanting that. But they talk about his story a little, and about how he was like in prison very young for doing some anti-Semitic things, and he got out, ended up working for a Jewish man that like basically turned his entire opinion around. And he's in like documentaries and goes around talking about like hate, and it sounded very interesting. Like, they have a very interesting relationship. So I was taking this all into context of, I've seen Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum at cons before. Sorry, Mike having issues. Then I saw that in 2019 when all of this shit was like coming out. It was supposed to be a panel, but I guess they just basically told the panel host that they don't need them, and they just like took the microphones and took over the room and just ran the entire thing. So I was like, that's great that they're comfortable doing that. They're very, very funny people. But they basically at the front of it were like, hey, so please don't ask us about that thing that's going on, the elephant in the room. We don't know anybody, or we don't know anything. It would just be very uncomfortable to talk about. As far as we knew, she was only like a very kind and nice person, and we only had great interactions with her. So I knew that from their point of view that she was always like a kind person, and that was the background that she was going in. And I do think that kind of matches her point of view in the podcast. I'm sure she probably did some not great things. No, I take that back. Let me re-say that. She did some not great things, and she admits to that. But I think it does match her point of view that like she went into this extremely naively and was being like, oh, we're going to help people. I really believe in this self-help program to, enlighten people. And it's all like bullshit, basically. They're all like working on it. And the guy that's just, he's all full of shit. But I think from her point of view, she like really believed in it, because she's one of those people that's just like looking to help people and like wants to do things. And you can definitely debate how she is portraying herself in this. There are a lot of people in the true crime groups that are like, I don't believe her for a second. I think she was faking naivety and she was enjoying the power and just a lot of different things. And they're like, oh, the host was totally taken with her. And I think there's been a lot of going back and forth. When the podcast was announced, a lot of people were like, this is gross. Why are you participating in this? Why are you giving her a voice? And I do think that is valid on some things, and the host of the podcast did like another interview with, I guess, another podcaster, basically, talking about her experience with the series, and how she initially got introduced to her from like a friend, and she was interested in doing something, and the podcaster had said that, you know, oh, I really have no interest in being part of Allison Mack's redemption arc, basically seeing that as like something that would be like manufactured, and, you know, trying to redo her appearance in the world. So I think she went into it with like a good amount of hesitation that, you know, she wasn't going to be manipulated. I think it came out with a product that was a lot more honest about like where people actually were in the world and the conversations that they were having. And I will say, I think one of the ways this relates back to superheroes and, you know, comics beyond just she was in a superhero show. I see a lot of people going on when all of this was coming out. They're like, oh, she's a monster. She did all these terrible things. I think we see a lot in the true crime world and somewhat about superheroes that people kind of want certain characters that are unexplainable, that are just, you know, there's no explanation for what they did. They're just a monster. And I feel like for the vast majority of situations, that's not true. I think even if you go back to people who have done really, really horrible things, and I do agree that there are some people out there that are just monsters and there's no decent explanation for it. However, I think those cases are fairly few. And I think the culture and the media that we surround likes to try to demonize people, and say, oh, you know, there's no way that there's an explanation for what they did. They just, you know, they're a terrible person. When a lot of times that's not true, you know. I'm definitely not making excuses for anybody who's done horrible things in their lives. But if you go back, you like, yeah, there's like trauma they experienced as a young child, and like there are things in their lives that did factor into that, and it's might not be an excuse, but it's still a factor into what happened. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mike. I just talked a lot. Nate, why don't you give us some of your opinions on this matter?
No, I think you brought up a lot of good points there, Rachel. And full disclosure to the audience, I've only listened to about 2.5 episodes out of the series. Rachel's listened to everything, but I did watch the interview that Allison Mack did with Michael Rosenbaum, and so I think there's a lot to kind of digest here. So first of all, I would say that Rachel's right. This is a complex situation in which Allison Mack is a victim of abuse, but she's also the perpetrator of abuse. And so I think my biggest thing that I wanted to hear, either through this podcast from the CBC or on the Rosenbaum show, was contrition and understanding, even if there were these other extenuating factors that led you down this path, that there was accountability that was being taken. And I would say it's tough to kind of commit to one side or the other, Rach, because I feel like, and again, you know, we all love Chloe on Smallville. Like, she did a great job with that. And so there's an inherent, I think, from just the standpoint of somebody who enjoyed that show, like, you want the people on the show to be good people. Right. So I think there is a built-in, like, I want her to be a good person at her core. I want her to be somebody that's being accountable for some of the damage that she's caused. But I do feel like that, like, I think you said naivete. And I do think that's a good word. I also feel like her view in terms of what she was doing and, you know, all of this was coming from a place of privilege. Because I don't know if it was the Rosenbaum show or on the CBC podcast, but she was like, I never really thought about color until I was locked up. And it's like, you've been in this business like your whole life, young lady. And then this is the first time you ever had to grapple with an issue like race. And so, like, I feel like the other thing that kind of gave me pause, Rach, to like how credible Allison could be on these platforms is there is this desire for redemption. I think just as a human being, you want redemption, but also like she's a very talented actress. So if she wanted to, she could be very convincing, even if she did not believe what she was saying. But all that being said, like I think I find her more sympathetic through listening to the episodes that I did and through hearing her talk on Rosenbaum, because she spoke a little bit about being in an abusive relationship prior to joining the cult. She spoke about her childhood and her upbringing and the idea of being, we've seen, right, like child actors do not always go through that gauntlet of being a young person, but also having to be a professional person. A lot of them don't go through that gauntlet unscathed. And so when she talks about going into these rooms, particularly with other women, and not seeing potential friends, but seeing competition and having to set up a hierarchy of where she fits in amongst those other women, like you can see kind of how she went down this path. I think the biggest thing, and I will listen to the rest of these CBC episodes to see how this story ends, because I hadn't even got to the part with the former neo-Nazi husband. Like that's a M. Night Shyamalan worthy twist at the end. Right. But I think that Allison Mack is a person who is on the road of healing. Yes. And I think when a person goes on the road of healing, and I can speak from some experience with this, Rach, because I was somebody that was abused as a kid and did not come to grips with that until I was like in my late 20s, early 30s. And so then I spent probably about a good 3 years where I was like just doing a lot of self-reflection and, getting like, I'm a Christian, so I was in my Bible more. I was, doing meditation and stuff like that. And I feel like that's kind of a natural pendulum swing for a human being. And so I don't know if this is like who Allison Mack is, or if this is just another chapter, right, before she really becomes self-actualized. But I hope, I think that's the best way to say it, Rach. I hope that she is somebody who has learned and has grown from this, and this is not just something to gain sympathy or gain redemption or gain an entryway back into a career, because like there is, you have to allow yourself to heal from your victimization, but you cannot let that overshadow the fact that, I did some bad things and I need to atone for that in whatever way that means.
Right. And that's one of the interesting things that is not, I guess, being said in the podcast so much, but that I know from my work in the legal system is that a lot of women that are locked up are, one, victims of domestic violence in their own lives, but also I've seen in a lot of cases that they are locked up due to something that, I had a client in my own experience who was locked up because she basically helped her abusive boyfriend at the time commit a robbery. And it was part of that ended up in her being victimized, and it was why she couldn't see her kids in this situation. She had never abused her kids or done anything wrong to them. There was no accusations of that. But because she was locked up, they were automatically taken from her, basically. And I think we as a society need to be a lot more accountable for the acts that we're perpetrating against children when their parents are in these situations. I've had a lot of child welfare cases lately. I'm working on an appeal for one woman whose child was taken away from her, we believe unjustly. It's been weighing on my mind a lot lately. And really just thinking and talking about how we are so bad at handling child abuse. And even in situations where it's absolutely 100% to the child's best interest that they be removed from their parents, which is a very huge traumatic thing to do to a child. We are so bad at trying to fix that in their lives. And that even the kids that, do well, quote unquote, in foster care, it's like, I think 1% of foster kids end up going to college and that kind of stuff. And it's not just a situation about money, because they have grants and everything you could possibly imagine. The state keeps throwing money at it, but they can't make up for the pain and the trauma regardless. And it's just really disheartening to see as an attorney and as someone who wants to help kids. as women and other people in abusive relationships for sure. Anyway, I'll stop ranting. I think we have a guest who would like to.
We got the Professor Chris from LA. Chris Eiley is joining us. Chris, welcome. Happy New Year, first of all, brother, and welcome to a uplifting and lively topic. We're talking about Allison Mack and her podcast appearances post the whole NXIVM cult thing and getting out of prison.
Yeah, the only podcast that I did hear with Allison Mack after the what's it called? I always get the name twisted.
So here's how you should have known. It's NXIVM, but here's how you should have known, Rachel and everybody, that this dude Keith was a bad person, because you had the gall, sir, to put NXIVM. And that's supposed to be NXIVM. If you don't sit your ass in jail, Keith, right here.
Yeah, so I did hear the podcast that you were talking about, Nate. The interview that she did with not Tom Welling, with Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of different feelings when it comes to this kind of thing, because we've talked about this type of situation before, Nate, when we were talking about what's his name, John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon. When people were like trying to say, oh, he's just as guilty and blah blah blah, and I was more of the school, well, hey, if he's saying he was a victim too, we should at least hear him out to see what kind of dime he's going to drop, because that's kind of where Allison Mack was at with this guy, because the scuttle that I was hearing, because I was like finishing up at USC when this story was hot, so this was something I was covering. I was covering this regularly. And then the story spilled over until way after I was done with USC, right? It was just so weird, and like surreal, because I was, I start watching Smallville as soon as it came out. That was one of my favorite shows. When the first time I was in college, where I was in college, but I wasn't going to class, where I was just like partying and drinking.
Just watching Smallville and partying all day, Chris.
Yes, watching Smallville, watching Maury, just feeling, just doing that kind of stuff. So
good old days.
Yeah, so I was on Smallville really, really hard, and Allison Mack was one of the bright spots of that show. But then when you hear about like just all of this crap, it does put her in a different light. And the guy that she's married to now, I think Rachel brought this up, that Frank, I think his name is Frank
Nick or something.
Yeah,
something like she was saying her name now is Allison Mack.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
I think it's spelled Meenik. Frank Meenick. That's how I know him.
So Allison Mack Meenick.
Yeah. So like, and I don't know the depth of his neo-Nazism. I'm kind of like you with that kind of stuff, Nate. It's like, I do believe people can reform, but when you were a neo-Nazi, that's a lot. That's kind of like, I have to see the reform in action. I have to kind of be a witness to it, because I used to talk to those kind of groups too, like the neo-Nazis, the people that were part of like, the Ku Klux Klan, all that stuff, all those racist groups. And the question that I always had was like, are you really like done with that stuff? Have you cut ties with it? Right. Because there was this one guy that I remember knowing, that was a former neo-Nazi, and he was not a neo-Nazi anymore. And he said he started a group with other former neo-Nazis, and they were there trying to like reform back into society or something like that. So I was like, okay, so you quit the neo-Nazis and formed basically another all-white group with former neo-Nazis. I was like, is that really like, you know?
But no, Chris, they spelled Nazis N-O-T-Z-I-S. we the Nazis.
Not
Nazis.
Yeah, but he did. When I said that to him, he actually did say, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. I gotta, you know, do something about that." I think he did actually kind of expand the group too, to his credit. I'm not gonna name him because I really do think he's kind of reformed from that. But yeah, you do have to watch out for that kind of thing, you know. It's not an easy thing. Like, you can forgive, like, you know, mild racism, you know what I'm saying? Like someone saying the N-word, or, you know, if someone, you know, grew up in a racist family and adopted some of those traits, but now are reformed. That's one thing, right? Being a part of a supremacist group is a completely different thing, you know.
Going to meetings every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah. Because there's like a hierarchical structure to it. You go to these meetings. You have to get these tattoos. You have to wear these emblems. It's a bunch of different stuff. So it's weird that Allison is, you know, because she was, I want to say she was married to another actor before that. I'm blanking on his name. But she was married to that guy, and then being married to this guy, it does kind of, I'm not saying she's still a part of anything. It feels weird is all I got to say. It just doesn't feel normal. Like, if I was going to hang out with these two, like if they were like, yo, come over to my house for some like dinner or some barbecue or some shepherd's pie or whatever the fuck they eat. If they were gonna do that, I'd be like, let me see. And then I'd be like, yo, Nate, can you come to this thing with me? Or I wouldn't
I'd be like, no.
I don't want to go in alone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable going to that by myself, you know. So
I totally understand that feeling.
Yeah. It's just because this group was very, very weird, man. That was the thing. And in that interview with Rosenbaum, I'll give him credit because I don't think he softballed her the whole time. I think he asked about as tough a questions you're gonna get an actor friend to ask you if you were a part of something like that. The one thing I am kind of surprised by, that there wasn't more like young actresses involved in that, you know.
Right.
Because the group just seemed like they frequented the Hollywood circles probably the most, you know. So you would think another like actress, at least the level of Allison Mack, would have probably been in that group too. But I mean, and
Rachel, wasn't it Kristen Cruick that first took her to the meeting that played
she talks
Lana
about how like Kristen
Smallville?
Cruick introduced her to the cult, basically.
Yeah. So then what happened with Kristen Cruick? She was like, yeah.
It sounded like Kristen got out like soon, didn't
Yeah.
It sounded like Allison got invested really fast, and that Kristen was more like, oh, this is just a cool like self-help thing I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like that's why college, higher education is important for people of that age. And when I say college, I'm talking specifically about going to classes and listening to like the right instructors and people like that, because people get radicalized in college too. It's not like college is a place where no one gets radicalized. You know, you could just watch the movie Higher Learning and look at what happened to Remy in that movie, and that's a real thing that happens to people. And because when you're at that age, what I will say, and this is why I always tell to like my friends that aren't politically inclined, is that if you do not believe in something, I promise you there is a man or a woman out there that's peeping that, and they're like, I can put thoughts in this person's head.
Yeah.
And that's how people get radicalized, you know. It's in those kind of intimate relationships, you know. If you see a girl, you know, and you think she's a hot girl, and you know she tells you're she's a MAGA or some kind of evangelical nutbag, and you're like, I don't give a fuck, she's hot, you know. That's how those things get implemented. Or if you're a woman,
I was a vegetarian for 3 months, Chris, just based off of what some girl wanted me to be.
Yeah, my first girlfriend out here, her name, I can say her name because me and her get along. But my first girlfriend, Zakia, she was a vegan. And I was doing that vegan diet with her for the duration of the time we were dating. Now, I never like fully committed to the lifestyle, but I was like, but that's something that's a small thing, but still something that people don't understand. This is how these kind of relationships work. It starts off with small things, but it could spill over into big things. Like, let's say, if I am a Lakers fan and I've got a wife who's not a basketball fan at all, she might become a Lakers fan just because she's kind of ambivalent or just doesn't care about basketball, you know?
Right.
So she adopts what I believe or what my team is, you know? And that's how it works with these kind of religious cults and things of that nature as well. You know, it's like because Allison Mack, the age she was when she joined this group, she was very, very young and impressionable. And this guy really believed in the stuff he was hawking, right? And if you're walking around aimlessly in your 20s or your teens and you're just not believing in shit, someone's gonna find that if you're not if not 100%, but someone could find that and exploit that,
right,
and turn you into that. That's where my sympathy kind of lies with Allison Mack. Is I can see how something like that'll happen. And I mean, this, you know, I mean, what's his name? Sam Jones the third on the show. He got caught up in some shit too.
Right. Yeah.
Not as serious as this, but you know, it's like, you know, when you get caught up in just these bad crowds, there's always a penchant for something like this to happen.
Yeah.
And I think Rach, like one of the things that stood out to me from just like the 2.5 episodes of Allison After Nixium that I heard, and then the Rosenbaum show, is that, you know, Chris is right. Like, I think when you are somebody who is as evil as a Keith Raniere, however you say that man's name, I think he saw a vessel, but he also saw a vessel that had a skill, in that Allison Mack is somebody who, just by nature of her profession, is a good communicator, and she can be the herald almost for these ideas, these thoughts, this philosophy, Chris, that basically it's all these high-minded ideas, but basically at the end of the day, all roads lead to Keith. All roads lead back to him getting power, him getting sexual favors from these women, him getting money from these people, him, being the focus and the centerpiece of all these people's worlds. So in that sense, Rachel, I do agree with Chris. Like, that's where my sympathy for Allison Mack comes from, is that she didn't know what she was getting into on the front end, but I do feel like once you're in there, then anything you do from that point on, you do have a role in, and you do have some accountability to take.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially at that age, you're so vulnerable because you want to find something to belong to so badly. I think especially when she's interested, she talks about how, like, at the age of 16, she was like living alone in California and doing, acting jobs and stuff. And so, she's on her own up in shooting the show in Vancouver. And like, there's a handful of other actors and stuff, but like, she never went to college at that point. She never like had a real group to belong to. And you could tell even just the way she talks that she just, she was looking for something that she could dedicate herself to. And I think that's how she really fell into this so easily. And I do think, like, you were.
They go Nexium trying to jam Rachel. They've been doing this all episode, Chris.
It's true.
Want the truth to get out.
Okay. What were you saying, Rachel?
I think it's so easy for young people to get radicalized, especially, it doesn't need to be in college necessarily. It could be on the internet these days. How many people are just, they get so focused on something because they feel a sense of belonging to that. And that is how we have, a whole new generation of neo-Nazis and anti-Semitists and racists and maggots and just young people who were raised to be good, that yet we find them believing horrible things.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me too. And I was even older than Allison Mack, because I was once upon a time young and in Hollywood, because when I moved back to Los Angeles in 2005, the Los Angeles that I knew in the 90s and the 2000s, the like early 2001, 2002, just wasn't the same Los Angeles that I moved back to, because people had moved and, I didn't have any friends, and it was me and my cousin, but then my cousin, she got a boyfriend. So I was kind of alone. So I started dating this girl. And she wasn't a bad girl, but when we were dating, she had beliefs that weren't necessarily aligned with mine, but for whatever reason, just because I liked that belonging feeling, and she had a family, so by extension, I had a family because her family was my family during that time, that relationship didn't last because I wasn't fully committing to what she believed in, and she could kind of tell that too, because I was, you can only fake it for so long. That's kind of like what being young and impressionable is about, it's just figuring yourself out, trying to find where you fit in, especially if you were young and in California in Hollywood circles, I've been around that culture pretty much my whole life. People like that, everything out there is, I'm working right now, or I'm about to be on this show, you should check me out, or everyone's like bragging about the next thing. I'm booked a movie, I booked a this, I booked a that. So there's always this kind of pressure to, be doing something, right? So a group like this, even as twisted as it sounds, it's like in that group, you're not having to worry about, I'm on this show, or I booked this commercial, or I I'm doing this thing or I'm doing that thing, you know. You could just kind of like, you know, but the other end of that is the shit you're doing is not like good stuff, you know. And yeah, it's just really about making sure you got good like role models at that age. You're taking in good information, all that. Because I tell that to like students all the time, not just students though. I tell this to people, you know. It's very easy to get indoctrinated. It really is. You do not need, and it doesn't even have to be a person indoctrinating you. It could just be you sitting at home watching Fox News all day, or listening to Beyonce all day and thinking that you're best friends with Beyonce or best friends with Rihanna. You know, I know people that obsess over things like that, you know.
Parasocial relationships.
Parasocial relationships. But that happens a lot. That happens a lot. So it's just one of those things you got to be careful of. And I think Allison Mack, she is a cautionary tale, the fact that she was in that in the first place, but she's got a whole and the thing with the advice I'd give to Allison Mack, and I give this advice to anybody, even when I'm in business and, you know, somebody hit a scandal and all that shit and they're recovering from it. After, you got to understand, people are going to feel the way they feel about you. At the end of the day, none of that shit matters. If you've paid your debt to society and you're free and clear in the world and you're working and you're doing stuff, the only person you have to live with every day is yourself. And you have to understand you're going to have this noise and fog around you. And the question for you is going to be, are you going to like be consumed by this past stuff that you did, or are you going to let your current actions speak for who you are today? And that's the best advice I could give someone in that position, because I'm not Allison Mack's, you know, mother, father, husband, anything like that. I'm watching her on the periphery, but you know, she's got her life to live, man, and her next steps for the next few years are going to determine how people see her and judge her, you know.
And I think, Rach, you know, to kind of piggyback off of what Chris said, my last thought, kind of thinking about this, or second to last thought, would be, Allison seems like, just from what I listened to, and particularly seeing her on the Rosenbaum show, like, was a person that was often in her own head. Yeah. And that is a lot of folks are in their own head. I've been there before.
Same here, yeah.
But I think what can get you out of that is finding your people. And the problem with Allison Mack is she found the wrong people. Yes. You know, she found people that took from her instead of pouring into her. She found people that wanted to use her rather than wanted to help her grow. And so, like, I think that's what makes this such a fascinating story. There's a lot of different aspects to it, but it's just like, this is a person that had a lot of what people want, a lot of what people would say, like, that's a successful human being, but she still wasn't happy. She still wasn't fulfilled. She still didn't have very many loving relationships in her life, and that led her to this place where she was able to become a tool for this dude Keith, and was, you know, used to hurt people. And so before I give my final thoughts, my verdict on you, Allison Mack, because I know you're watching, but Rachel, any kind of final thoughts, and you know, we will say, because I don't think Chris was here for this, we are so happy that Rachel did not click on that link that Allison Mack sent to her, because we would not be here today if she had.
It'd be a whole different world. The entire world would be different.
We'd be listening to the Rachel Eiley podcast, like, what happened to Rachel?
Yeah, no, I'm very, very glad for the record. I didn't click on the link. For sure. But yeah, no, I think what you guys are saying is right. And I don't think we're gonna see her on the con circuit anytime soon or, back in acting. I think she's gonna take a long time to herself and just, really try to think this stuff through and figure out who she is as a person and who she wants to be going forward. And I wish her luck in that. I do. I hope she finds what she's looking for. I hope she can take all the trauma and the pain that she's experienced and the pain that she's caused and work towards a better world for herself and for everyone else for that. So, but yeah, I thought it was a really interesting subject to bring up and to discuss. And I feel like it affects a lot of the things in the world right now that are going on when it comes from everything to indoctrination to how we see evil and people manipulating each other and just how people belong.
So I think before we pivot to a lighter topic, I think Rachel, because you've heard everything. Chris, you are much like me, we've heard some, but we didn't sit down and listen to the entire interview series that was put out by the CBC. If the CDC is doing this, that y'all in this too? The Center for Disease Control got podcasts now. Everybody's getting into the game. But I guess the last question I would ask is a question that is probably the hardest to answer, and that is, do you believe Allison Mack? Do you believe that she is a changed person? Do you believe that she's remorseful for what she's done? Do you believe that she can get better? And we'll start with you, Rach.
I mean, I have to say, I know Nate, you shared earlier that I am also a Christian, and as a fundamental belief of Christianity, I think is that nobody is ever beyond redemption. And I think that definitely extends to her as well as a lot of people that have done very awful things in this world. I feel strongly that, it's never too late to stop and say, I'm not going to be this person anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to turn around and start over, even if you've done some very bad things. So, I think taking things at face value, there's always going to be some things that, someone is maybe saying certain ways to try to perceive themselves in a better light. And I can see how maybe some of the things she said were ultimately self-serving, but I would say overall, I do. I believe her. I think that she did not want to harm people going into this. I think she realizes that she did harm people. And I think she's trying to figure out a way to make up for that and to bring goodness into the world. And that's more than I can say for a lot of other people these days, honestly. It might be a minimum, but it's a minimum that not a lot of people are reaching. So my answer is yes.
I'm not laughing at your answer, Rachel. I'm just laughing at Ray with the lower third. Just, do you believe Allison Mack?
I know, right?
America, do you believe Allison Mack?
Tell us your thoughts.
Tell us your thoughts. Chris, before I'll let you have the last word on this, but from what I heard, what I watched, I want to believe. That's kind of where I'd put myself, Rach, maybe a little bit under the step that you're at. I want to believe, and I believe that she believes what she's saying. But words, especially coming from an actress, you can only take them at so far with a grain of salt. So it's work. You got to put in the work to healing. You got to put in the work to making the world better and kind of righting some of the wrongs that you had a part in. And so I want to believe that she's a better person. I want to believe that she's grown from this. I think just listening to the episodes, there is still a lot of unpacked trauma there that she's kind of figuring out, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but I hope that she finds happiness. I hope that she finds the self-actualization, Chris, that a lot of people are looking for. And I hope that she does that without hurting anybody else, because I do feel like there is a danger, I think, when you get into some of these spaces, Rach, where you're like, I'm somebody that's hurt, now I want to help people.
Right.
Sometimes you got to heal yourself fully before you can help people. You know, because if you're too broken, if you're somebody that's halfway healed and you're trying to help somebody that's fully broken, it doesn't always end up well because you're still figuring out your path. And so I hope that she's got the right people around her. I hope Mr. Neo-Nazi man is through with all the neo-Nazi stuff. He's a Nazi, N-O-T-Z-I. You can have that for free, cuz I'm gonna let you your new group, the Nazis. Hey, we're not Nazis anymore, y'all. But I do hope, man, that she's making a change for the better because you know we all were fans of what she did on that show, and so you want to root for folks like that, man. Chris, your final thoughts. As Ray so succinctly put it, do you believe Allison Mack?
Well, for me, it's like, and I don't subscribe to any religious beliefs anymore. I'm not quite an atheist. I do believe in a higher power, just not the stuff presented to me as a kid. With that said, however, one thing my grandmother, who's very religious, has always told me is, you always want to forgive people and believe them until they give you a reason not to believe them. And if someone, stabbed you in the back before or stole from you or anything like that, it's okay to be friends with them. It's okay to forgive them. It's okay even to be friends with them. But she always said, but remember, that fool stole from you before, so it's one of those kind of things. So I do believe she is wanting to change because and like you were saying earlier, Nate, nobody ever goes into these groups wanting to be really anything, they just go into these groups. They're getting radicalized. They don't even know they're getting radicalized, right? And it takes something to wake somebody up, Everybody wakes up from this shit, whether they die from it or die in it, or whether something life altering happens, they wake up from it. So I think she can. I don't think she's ever gonna be like acting starlet anymore. I think those days might be over. But then again, they might not be. But I will say this: we live in an age where it's so easy to RHR. And when I say RHR, I mean red hat rebranding, where you can be the most evil person you can be, and instead of like asking for forgiveness or doing the hard work of atonement, you could just lean harder into your bullshit. You could just lean harder into MAGA or whatever culture in, and that's kind of what this era is about, right? It's about people who have done bad stuff and feel bad and are like, oh, I'm sorry. Then there's other people that have done bad stuff and like, yeah, fuck you, I'm MAGA now, So she's at least
she's not MAGA.
Yeah, she's doing the hard part. So at least
she's not Dean Cain.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe her until she comes out and says, yeah, I wanted to change, but the woke mob wouldn't let me. So I believe her until then,
At least Allison Mack is not MAGA. I think that's a happy place to end this. But you know what, Rachel, talking about Allison Mack and her struggles and just, kind of stuff that people deal with in life, it got me to thinking, Chris. It got me to pondering. Ray Williams, the disembodied voice of Ray Williams, it got me to wondering.
Wonder.
And I think, Rachel, let's have some fun now. After we talked about this heavy topic for an hour, let's talk about some actual superhero stuff that's coming to your TV screens. January 27th on Disney Plus, Wonder Man is dropping. I've seen the trailer multiple times. I'm in. I'm gonna let you know that on the front end. Rachel has not seen the trailer. Chris, have you seen the Wonder Man trailer yet?
I've only seen stills. I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Okay, all right. So Ray Williams is efforting the trailer for Chris and Rachel to watch live for the first time, and I want to get your thoughts on this new series that is coming from Disney Plus.
All right, let's go.
You got this, man. You just got to go out there and crush it.
Where have I seen him before? Pretty sure he used to be a terrorist.
This is intense.
Let's not give him any strange energy to pick up on. We both have a lot riding on this, Simon.
Why would you say that?
Come in. Mr. Kovac will meet you in the living room.
Amazing.
A superhero remake. Not exactly what we'd expect from an Oscar-winning director.
This is the role. It's everything. If I get this close and I miss,
I'm gonna need you to sign this to confirm you don't have superpowers.
yeah. I need to be in this movie. I was born to play this character.
Acting is the sum of everything you've experienced. The joy, sadness, loss, heartbreak.
The Department of Damage Control considers Simon Williams an extraordinary threat.
Are you gonna use super speed or what?
I'm gonna use my car, Trevor.
Does that mean you do or do not have super speed? Let's go!
All right, so that was the trailer for Wonder Man, which stars Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts seeing that? We'll start with you, Chris.
It looks cool, man. I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen. I liked him in Aquaman. I liked him in both Aquamans, to be honest with you. Even though Aquaman 2 I didn't think Aquaman 2 was as horrible as people said it was. It wasn't what I would call, I wouldn't take people to it and say, oh, Aquaman 2 is good. You know, it's a movie I like. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But I thought he was good in it regardless. I loved him in what's it? I'm blanking on the Watchmen. I loved him in that. Got award. So I think he's good at this genre. So he's dipping his toe into the Marvel in the Marvel pool after a couple dips in the DC pool, you know. So I think he'll be fine at this because, and you know, he's already got I think an Emmy for Watchmen. And I'm still pissed out every time I think about the TV show Watchmen. I still get angry that we only got that one season of it. That and Lovecraft Country, man. Both of those shows, like I get angry every time I think we only got one season of them, but I think he's gonna be good
that way about. I'll say that.
Yeah. But I think he's gonna be good on this show. Am I gonna watch it regularly? If I don't watch it, it won't be because I don't want to watch it. It's just because there was a incident at one of the schools I work at, and that's all I can say. The union is handling that stuff, but I'm gonna have a lot more free time, but my time has got to be devoted to writing articles and journalism and stuff like that, because that's going to be my other main form of income. And so I don't know how much time I'll have to watch this, and I do plan on watching another superhero show that's going to be coming out this year, and it's of one of my favorite comics, so we'll see. So I might watch that instead, but we'll see how things shake up. I do think this show is gonna, I do think it's gonna make it, just because of the talent that's attached to it.
Yeah. So Rachel, you are famously not a Marvel.
Famously not a Marvel, yes.
That you are not a Marvel, but what did you think of that trailer?
I thought it was really fun. I'm not familiar with the source material. I know a few of the actors, but I'm not like super familiar with their work. I thought the trailer looked really fun. I like the idea of an actor playing a superhero and finding out he has superpowers. I think that's a really funny idea and really clever. It looks like a cute show. I think I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, I like this trailer a lot. And I remember when the show was announced, which is probably 2 years ago by now, just thinking, like, just off the strength of the cast, as Chris alluded to, like it's at least going to be watchable.
I agree.
And so, like, I'm excited for it. I think the problem with the show, which is not the show's fault, it's more a Disney and Marvel thing, is much like Ironheart, which they released all the episodes over 2 weeks, much like Eyes of Wakanda, Chris, which they released in one night, much like Echo, which I believe Echo was released like over 2 weeks. All of Wonder Man, all of the episodes, I think it's 7 or 8 episodes, maybe 9 episodes of Wonder Man, are going to be released on January 27th, like in the old Netflix style versus a week-to-week thing. And it at first, my racial spidey senses was tingling, Chris, because it's like all the shows with the black leads, or in Echo's case, the Native American lead who is also physically disabled. Like all of these shows get dumped off to the side. But then I talked to somebody and he was like, well, a lot of these shows were greenlit before Marvel and Disney decided to start streamlining their output. And so it feels like they're trying to burn off all these shows. And I'm like, two things can be true at the same time, though. Like, it feels like they're putting this show in a corner. But I really enjoy the concept. It feels like a different type of Marvel show. And I think, I've read a little bit of Wonder Man in the comics. He's not like one of my favorite characters. But I'm interested to see like their take on it. And again, just going by the strength of Yaya and Sir Ben Kingsley as actors, I think it's going to be at least a decent watch.
I think like with and that there used to be this thing that networks used to do back in the like late 80s and 90s, where they would have these shows that they shot pilot episodes of, and they would be obligated to burn them off and show them on television. That there'd be only one episode of the show, and you'd watch the episode and you're like, what happened to that show? They did that with Don Cheadle, had a show like that. I think it was called In the House. They did that with there was a show called The Bells of Bleecker Street, and all these different like shows where there was just like one episode and that was it. So the way you describe it sounds like that to me, Nate. But I think like when you got some unknown source material, I think that gives the writers a little bit more creative wiggle room to kind of turn the character into their own, kind of like the Shrek movies, because the Shrek was based off of a stupid book that the executive producer's kid liked, and they turned it into a movie. And I think that's kind of like something you could probably get out of Wonder Man. Again, I don't know what Disney or Marvel's vision for this is. And and you really won't know until you watch it. So that's all I can say.
And I think one of the things I kind of like about this, Chris and Rachel, is that it feels, I guess, to maybe bolster my friend's point, like it feels like an earlier age of Marvel where they were trying things that weren't necessarily household names, but we'll see like a lot of the Defender shows, a lot of those characters, we know them, but they weren't household names. A show like Runaways or Cloak and Dagger, which me and my niece
that was a good show.
Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, man, that show was good. They need to bring those two actors back because they're still young enough to do some stuff. But it feels like, yes, it's in the MCU, but it's like, as much as I like Chris, he ain't showing up on Doomsday. He ain't gonna make the list, the guest list for Doomsday. He not in that level yet in terms of this character. But I'm interested in seeing like a character that we've already had interactions with, which is Trevor, Ben Kingsley's character, and how he and Simon kind of bounce off of each other. Like I want to see that because I think that'll be fun, just those two working with each other.
I do too, and the thing about, and that is one of the things that does kind of annoy me about this, if it turns into nothing, is Yahya Abdul Mateen deserves to be in shit that people see. You know, he's a good actor. I think he's as good. He was able to hold his own with Jason Momoa and hold his own acting wise with Regina King on Watchmen. He did a lot of scenes with her. And I want to see, I do want to see if they're going to do the TV show of this. I don't want it to be a burn off situation like those sitcoms I was talking about in the 90s, where you air it because you have to. I want it to be something that, turns into something for the actors involved in it, and maybe, and I remember when Ben Kingsley was this character in Iron Man, and the anger and vitriol that people had for. I think that was one of the first Marvel movies that I saw people have that kind of sour reaction to, like that. And I actually liked Iron Man 2 all right, but when I got online, I was like, Jesus, people. They just hated that what they did with the Mandarin in that. So
much like the Mandarin, though, Chris is our friend Brent Chittenden, because you'll never see him coming.
Yeah,
that was a line from Iron Man. Rachel, I know you're not a Marvel.
Thank you.
Because sometimes some of us work.
How are you, Brent? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, folks. I saw the invite late. I thought I'd jump in and just say hello and see how everything was going.
Oh, we're doing well. We had a long, lengthy discussion about Allison Mack's recent podcast appearances at the top of the show. So light conversation that you don't have to be involved in. But we just got through, because I'd seen the Wonder Man trailer multiple times. I really dug it. Chris and Rachel haven't seen it yet, so we just played it live for them. But what are your thoughts on Wonder Man? And it's funny because I was just getting ready to bring up the point that you've got. And here's the thing. Yes, I understand. There's a fandom for every character, Rachel. There's a fandom for every book, for every story. I didn't know, Brent Chittenden, that there was so many Wonder Man fans on the internet, because I seen, like, every time I go to look up the trailer, you look in the comment section, and that's my fault for reading the comments, but it's there's always some guy that's like, Simon Williams is a white man. This race washing has to stop. They're destroying our favorite characters. And I'm like, Wonder Man's the favorite? Wonder Man? So like I said, I read some Wonder Man, Brent, but I'm not really checking for Wonder Man. As somebody who is an aficionado with this stuff, what are your thoughts on the trailer if you've seen it? And are you outraged that Wonder Man Simon Williams is now black?
I'm not, which should surprise nobody who's a fan of your network. But also, I am kind of like, I don't know if they'll do it, but at one point, Wonder Man and Scarlet Witch hook up for a while.
Oh wow!
And that would just drive those assholes even more nuts. So I'm all for it. I've seen the trailer a couple times. I'm really curious about it. Trevor Slattery is an interesting character to throw into this. We've seen him twice now. He was in Iron Man, obviously, or Iron Man 3. Is it the third one he's in?
Was it the third one? Yeah, I said
it's
2.
the third one.
The third one, yeah.
And then he appears in Shang-Chi for a bit of that. And I love Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley is one of those British actors who can, like, even in really shitty movies, he's usually pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think they're trying something with this. Whether it's going to work, who knows? I'm one of those few people who I liked She-Hulk. A lot of people didn't. And
same here. I liked it too.
Yeah, and I could see this kind of sliding into a similar zone as that.
Okay.
But speaking as a gentleman who was, an hour ago working at a comic book store, the Wonder Man fans online seem to outrank the amount of Wonder Man fans there are in real life, I guess.
Yeah, it's because I remember that with like Guardians of the Galaxy also, where people were just tripping. Like I didn't give a fuck about the Guardians of the Galaxy before the movies came out.
Right.
You know? I knew of them, but I didn't care about them. And then all of a sudden you get these fans of Guardians of the Galaxy that are complaining about stuff in the movie, that are doing this with Wonder Man now. And I just didn't know that there was this kind of fandom for Wonder Man.
Yeah, and I don't know if Brent, if you caught the start of the show, Rachel and I have decided to come up with some New Year's resolutions for comic and superhero fandom a little bit later. But it reminds me of when Kevin Smith did the Masters of the Universe show for Netflix. I was somebody, man. He-Man was one of my favorite characters when I was a little kid. Chris, my whole life, I went through all my teens, all my 20s, all my 30s. I never met another He-Man fan. But when this show came on, Brent, and they had the audacity to have Teela actually be a character that had some of her own agency, and they had a woman of color, a black woman, as Teela's sidekick, you would all these Masters of the Universe He-Man fans came out the woodwork, Brent.
Oh yeah,
that's not my He-Man. They should call this show She-Man because it's all about these women. I'm like, where are all these He-Man fans coming from?
Like I was a He-Man fan too in the 80s also. The one thing I loved about He-Man, which was a little bit different than a lot of the other because all those 80s, even the 90s cartoons, they are commercials for the toys. That's really all they are. Just 30-minute commercials for them to release a character, and then you go to your mom, I want to buy this, or give me the
Chris,
Dino box.
One of the happiest moments of my life to this day, Chris, to this day, is when I was a kid. I don't know if it was like 88, 89, something like that, man. Woke up on Christmas morning, and I think Pops had got a bonus or something because he had a little extra money that Christmas. Dog, why was the Castle of Grayskull sitting underneath the tree?
Yeah.
Nice.
The whole castle, drawbridge and everything.
Amazing.
My Castle Grayskull is in the other room, actually, because I'm a child who lives in a man's body.
Yeah, and I like the storyline that Teela was in on the cartoon too. I remember that because I remember it was a big deal in my like second grade, first grade circles, where you find out that the sorcerer was Teela's mom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And shit like that. It was just kind of like a big thing back in the day. But yeah, I didn't know, like you, Nate. I didn't know that like these He-Man fans existed at that level until
A
now.
grown man
but
going online to yell about what is ostensibly a children's cartoon.
Yeah,
it all just comes off as so disingenuous. And to me, I think the one that really proved it is I was a big fan of like the Hunger Games, and I like read the books in one night.
Yeah.
And when the movie casting came out, and they're like, "Oh, they made Rue black," and everyone's so mad, and I'm like, "Bitch, Rue is black in the books."
Can I throw? I can throw a little bit of joy into a similar conversation. So yesterday at my store, a gentleman came in, and we serve everybody at our store, even if you can be a little bit on the ignorant side. And he openly told us that he was looking for comics that weren't woke. Quote unquote. And
it's like that's all of them, sir.
He had figured out that it was before a certain year.
Oh, of course.
Comic apparently. So like I think he's like before 2006, you're okay.
Wow.
Now, the funny part, this is the great part, is he bought a Wonder Woman book, which is, that particular run was all female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
He bought a comic called The Authority, which is a DC book, which stars two characters, Apollo and Midnighter, who are essentially gay Superman and Batman.
Right.
And what was the third? Oh, and he bought We Three, which is written by a non-binary person. So
wow.
It's just like, good luck with all these buddies.
What drew him to The Authority? Was it just the title, Brent?
Probably.
Yeah,
we need more authority in this world.
Yeah, like it's weird with comics because, like, even like the Republican characters in comics, like Icon or Captain Atom, the stories around them are about them needing to be more progressive in their beliefs. That's kind of why. In the Icon comics, Rocket exists there to show Icon that he needs to, get out of his own fucking way, And Captain Atom is kind of like I haven't read Captain Atom's comics in a while, but he was kind of an asshole, that kind of needed to see the light as well. So I don't know why, like where these, because I always see these like on Fox News and the Megyn Kellys of the world always complaining about wokeness in comics.
It doesn't
I'm like,
exist like in the rest of the
Been there
world.
the whole time.
Yeah. There's
I
things
gave him a copy of Hard Traveling Heroes, Brent. That he would have loved that.
Yeah. The thing with comics are like there are right-wing folks in comics. The smart ones know to kind of keep their mouths shut, and the other ones have been sequestered off, much like politics, in their own little realm. Chuck Dixon, who wrote Batman for years and years, has come out as like a total mega hat wearing guy. And the thing is like we have discussed this amongst my coworkers, that every time somebody comes in and says something about like we had one customer a couple of years ago who was like, I hate how they're making all the characters gay. Now, you could argue with the fact that like, well, there's something to it with like the fact that these are all men in tights. But beyond that, no, it's not like Superman's not gay. It's his son that is gay, or at least bi. I can't remember which one it is. Like the character you like is still there and still straight and white. So just don't read the book that you don't want to read.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it being out there for other people.
Right. Not all media is designed for your consumption.
Exactly.
Yes. So, Brent, a topic that I brought up to Chris and Rachel in regards to Wonder Man, and I guess we'll continue down this path a little bit with you, is like my racial spidey senses went up when they announced that all of the episodes were going to be dropped on the 27th. This coming after all of the episodes of Ironheart were dropped over 2 weeks. All of Wakanda Forever was dropped in one day. I think Echo was like all of it was dropped either the same week or over 2 weeks. And so, but I was talking with a friend and he was basically like, I think they're just trying to burn, because this was completed like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he was like, they're trying to burn the old stuff from the previous regime, and I was like, I get that, but also the optics don't sit well with me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like maybe it's a little bit of both. Like sadly, like it is one of those things that like this has been done for a while, and like to the point where like my co-host and I on True North Nerds kind of forgot this was a thing until that first trailer dropped, and we're like, oh yeah, that they were working on that. I would completely like cast and everything. I would be interested to see numbers, but the problem with all these streaming services is none of them show off numbers unless it's a huge deal, right? Like, you know, like Stranger Things, 18 million people watch it or some such nonsense. The thing with this is like that we'll never get a straight answer out of anybody. They will completely say that it's like, oh no, we just thought it would run better if we dropped it all at once. I'm like, well,
right.
How come every other show you don't, unless you know maybe a person color or minority is in the lead? It's not a good look.
It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy too, Brent, because if part of the reason they're releasing it this way is because they don't think there's an audience for it, then you're not creating an audience, and so you're gonna get what the results that you asked for.
Yeah, that was exactly the way they used to do those shows on those sitcoms in the 90s. You know, they would just air them, and the hope was they wouldn't find an audience, so they could just say, "Hey, we contractually did what we were supposed to do."
We tried, guys.
Yeah, the only show that probably stuck, there was a couple, but Blossom was one of them. That was a burn-off show that they aired in the summer. That did very, very well, so they brought it to series. But yeah,
that was a big thing. It was like the mid-season replacements.
Yeah. So it was like in the 90s, in the 80s, really early 90s. The idea was there were a bunch of shows. A lot of them were from the Brandon Tartikoff era of NBC. Some of them were like just shows that ABC never aired, and then they would be called like special presentations. And they had to air the show because they were contractually obligated to do it with the studio or the EPs or whatever. So they just find a time, mostly in the summer, to just kind of say, "Hey, we aired it. Nobody watched it." And that was the end of it, you know.
Right.
And it was specifically done with Black shows because, you know, for whatever reason, like with Don Cheadle's show, that the argument against that was we already have a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because his character on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was friends with Will Smith, so that's what got him the sitcom. So on the sitcom, he plays a different character with the same kind of, you know, hip hop thing going on. And they just didn't like this. They just didn't like the pilot, but they had to air it. So they aired it. And you can probably find it on YouTube because I think it's there.
Oh, YouTube is great for unseen pilots.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they got a whole like channel. I was watching one with Kyla Pratt the other day where weird stuff, man, and one with Lil Bow Wow where he's playing them himself.
Okay.
And, Kim Fields is his mom. And
oh wow, I need to watch the Little Bow Wow show now.
Yeah, Joey Lawrence played his agent.
Oh wow, Joey Lawrence on these streets.
Yeah, he played his agent. It was a weird one of those 2000 shows, and yeah, you find that crap on YouTube all the time. But yeah, that was a thing that
magical.
And it sounds like and the what you described, Nate, I said all that to say what you described sounds eerily similar to that formula, you know. Where it's like let's just run this so we can say we did it, you know.
And like I'm excited for the show, Brent. Like I don't have like super high expectations, but I do feel like this feels, and I was saying the same thing to Rachel and Chris, it feels like older Marvel where we can just take a look at a smaller character. Like the Defenders, for lack of a better term, like we knew who they were, but the larger audience wasn't really tapped in. with a lot of those characters, or Cloak and Dagger, a show that I really liked. Like that wasn't like they weren't household names to people that weren't comic aficionados, and so I think Wonder Man falls in the same boat. And then with those actors, with Kingsley and Yaya, I think just the two of them will make the show watchable. I don't know if it's going to have further ramifications down the line for the MCU, but I'm willing to give it a chance.
It's one of those things that, like, I think in any kind of other era, this would have been more of an event. But it's like we know there's Doomsday on the horizon, and there it seems to be the Marvel movie verse focus is more on that than anything else they've got in the works right now. Like, because what do you call it? Next season Daredevil starts in like a month too, doesn't it? A month, 2 months?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't seen anything for that yet.
Yeah, they haven't put anything about it out. It's on its way, or at least that's crazy. Unless they've moved it at some point, like it, because I know Marvel's relaunching the comic at the that coincide with it at the same time, right?
Okay.
So, new number one on the stand, just in case you get interested in the TV show. But it's what I think. Sadly, the Wonder Man is also a victim of like that era of Marvel entertainment of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And unfortunately, a lot of it, good, bad, or other, hasn't stuck. Like, it starts with Eternals, Echo's in there, which I enjoyed Echo, but like people barely remember that show came out. And like Wonder Man, unfortunately, might fall into the same thing. Like even She-Hulk, like between like the people, like I really liked it. A lot of people hated it, but it just like. Now it's one of those things like, oh yeah, remember there was a She-Hulk show,
right? Yeah, so
it's just sort of like faded into the background.
I have a theory behind that too. I think like what happens in Hollywood is that anytime you get something good, the idea is to replicate it over and over again. And in the because the peak for all this shit is probably like the 2010s, right? For the superhero genre specifically. And we went a whole little while without any like significant superhero movies. So the 2010s bought us all of these great movies and TV shows, and I originally was like, oh yeah, as long as it's good, there's no such thing as superhero fatigue. And then probably 2018, 19 came around, and I was like, yeah, there's probably too much of this shit now. It's hard to keep up with. So what? Everyone like, because you're just replicate. It's like the 90s when they came out with all those, like Friends came on, it was a hot show, and because Hollywood is just not a creative place, they came out with all these Friends knockoffs like The Single Guy and Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. And Dharma and Greg. And
Caroline in the City. That was
Suddenly Susan. All of them were Friends. Fucking
Suddenly Susan. Yes.
Well,
let's take it a step further, though, Chris. Let's take it a step further because I like where you headed. All of these were Friends ripoffs, right? But Rachel, it always comes back around. Culture vultures, because Friends was a ripoff of Living Single with Queen Latifah.
Well, the thing with Friends being a ripoff of Living Single is they are from the same studio. It was basically Warner Brothers kind of ripping itself off.
Be your own people sometime.
What they did was they saw the formula of Living Single with a bunch of like kind of black, you could call them yuppie singles in New York City. And they're young and beautiful and handsome and that kind of thing. And it was a hit on Fox in '93. So what the studio head did was like, yeah, if we could get this formula successful on Fox, Warner Brothers, why don't we do the same thing and just make it a white show and get it on a big 3 network? So that's what happened. It got on NBC and that formula became the biggest thing ever, you know, for the 90s at least.
I was obsessed with Friends for a while. I went through a phase, maybe like 10th grade, 2008, maybe. It was. I always get into shows long after their time.
I can see Rachel with the Jennifer Aniston haircut. I can see
it's called the Rachel, so I mean, it gets set up.
Yeah.
So this leads me. Chris didn't know it. Brent didn't know it. Rachel didn't know it. But this leads me a perfect segue to coming up with some New Year's resolutions for folks in the superhero fandom, the comic book fandom, Brent. And I'll start off with one that just came to mind when Chris was talking about how things were in the 2010s and even before that versus how they are now. And my first New Year's resolution would be fans understand that everything is not made specifically for you. Whoever you may be, all of these projects, TV shows, movies, comics, they're not made specifically for an audience of one, the one being you. And the second part to that, the corollary part to that is B, we should be less hateful for things that we don't like, Rachel, and more grateful for the things that are out there that we do like. Because Brent, Chris, you know, we a little bit older than Rachel, man. We men of a certain age, like Scott Bakula, Andre Brower, and my man Ray Romano. We got to do a Men of a Certain Age review show. It's gonna happen because that show was just so random and weird, and I love it. TNT, they no drama. But we remember the desert of superhero stuff back in the day, where you were lucky to get 1 or 2 good movies every couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom happened, and now, like, you got a lot of people who are our age that are some of the main people who are griping and complaining and bitching online, and it's like, you went from eating Ritz crackers and occasionally getting a ham sandwich to now you're getting steak and lobster and turkey every single month of every single year, and you're like, it's undercooked, Brent. It's undercooked. I can't. It's back to the kitchen with you. So it's like, if you don't like a thing, you have every right to not like a thing, but don't enjoy it. Don't ruin it for everybody else that does enjoy the stuff.
Right, yeah. Because like that was my thing even with the DC movies and how they weren't like early movies weren't like great or masterpieces. And everybody was talking about how they were the worst movies ever or worst superhero movies ever. And I'm like, excuse me, do you not remember 1989 and 90 and all the crap we got with like Fantastic Four and the Captain America stuff and the fucking David Hasselhoff sci-fi
Nick Fury joint.
The X-Men shit where the where it was on Fox, and my homeboy
was it Generation X or something like
Generation X, yeah. My homeboy Bumper Robinson was on that show. It's like a bunch of just horrible stuff. So
Halle Berry's Catwoman, we lived through that.
We did.
Right, yeah.
I was there.
So I think the early Marvel days probably kind of spoiled people a little bit, to where it's like, even if something is like, because like with Batman v Superman, I didn't love the movie, but I didn't hate it. You know, I wasn't one of those people that were like, you know,
fine
wanting to shoot themselves in the heart over how bad it was. Because I thought like, because I was like, okay, this is not great, but you can turn it into something that's good, you know. That was my take with it. But yeah, it's like we're spoiled now, you know. It's like people just, like you said, you get lobster every day and pizza, like the stuff you like every day. You get tired. Eventually you're gonna grow tired of it. And even if it's the stuff towards the end is good, it's like, yeah, but I've seen this already, or I'm tired of this, or and I think that's probably where the culture might be with certain superhero movies at the moment. It's not going to stay that way, but I mean, it's just the ebbs and flows of Hollywood,
Yeah.
In the 60s, westerns were the thing, everybody loved westerns, and it's just that's just how genres go.
Yeah.
And I think, Brent, a lot of people will say, and I think this is a situation where two things can be true at the same time, where a lot of people will say Marvel fell off or Marvel wasn't the same after Endgame. And I think that is true, but I don't think people take the time to go into the reasons why Marvel is different post Endgame, where you've got a pandemic to factor in, where you've got multiple strikes with actors and writers that you have to figure in, where you've got the network, you got the parent company that wants more of this stuff because it's making all this money, and they may not have the best plans to have the narrative structure for these stories fit properly. But another factor, I think, Brent, is when Endgame came out, we were all like 8 years younger. Has it been 8 years since Endgame?
It's got to be close to that.
So like we were all 8 years younger. And so I can speak to anybody that's aged, the trick that worked on you when you were 10 years old didn't work on you when you were 20. At least I hope it didn't work on you when you were 20. And so people have grown. They've had lives. They've had kids. They've been in relationships. They've had different jobs. We've gone through this global pandemic that has changed people's perspectives. And I still think people are recovering from that on some level, Brent.
Yeah.
But I think, Marvel could have been doing better with what they've given us. But I don't think, like, every year there's at least one Marvel thing that I really enjoy. And financially, like, you could say what you want to say about Captain America Brave New World or Fantastic Four or Thunderbolts. They're the new Avengers, Ray. But those movies, as lukewarm a reception as they got, they still combined made over $1 billion. So somebody was interested in those things.
I think the other thing that, like, maybe this is the throw into a half resolution is all that stuff. The thing that critics usually point to of like, oh, superheroes are dead because it didn't make $1 billion.
Right.
Is the fact that, like, that's pre-pandemic, most of the numbers they're looking at. And those companies still haven't seemed to figure out that they have trained us all the way at home.
Yes.
For things. And like, why pay the $14-15 to go see it in the movie theater where I'm paying that for an entire streaming service, and I can bring my own snacks, and I can get completely hammered in my living room and not get that or pulled out.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that. I was reading in Variety, I believe it was, where Leonardo DiCaprio was talking about, like, he's kind of says he's almost not necessarily worried, but he thinks that movie theaters might go the way of like jazz clubs and stuff like that, right? Where jazz clubs were hot once upon a time in America, but now they're just kind of like these niche things that people go to, but not like everybody goes to them. And he says he thinks movies are starting to turn into that, because you're like, the way documentaries don't really show theatrical releases anymore the way they used to, so it's like that's one of the concerns, and I think it's the bottom line is just Hollywood is going to have to adapt,
and documentaries and comedies.
Remember
when, like, at least the three of us were younger, there would be that like mid-level comedy that they would put out as like counter programming, and those like they're straight to Netflix now. Like, they don't, for the most part, those never hit theaters anymore.
To Chris's point, though, like, I think that's part of the calculations Hollywood has to figure out. It's like there's either these budgets that are made for movies that are made for a shoestring budget, or there's the blockbuster. There's nothing in between like it used to be back in the day. But then also it seems the only movies that are really able to draw, so to speak, Brent, are events where, like, you know, we saw with Barbie and Oppenheimer, where we saw with Top Gun Maverick, where we saw with Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, like these big events that get people out. And every movie is not going to be an event, nor should it be, because if every movie is an event, Brent, no movie's an event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's to go on top of that, budgets are out of control.
Right.
Like I don't know how much it made, but like the Mission Impossible that came out recently, the I guess the last Tom Cruise one, is like financially is probably a pretty big bomb. Because like rumor has it with because you take the budget and supposedly you double it for putting in promotions, is like it's somewhere like just south of $1 billion.
Yeah,
and there's no way a movie like that's going to make that kind of box office in this day and age, even with Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, and the thing with actors and stuff now too is the systems that every performer were kind of like not I want to say slaves to, but kind of had to adhere to. It's just not the same anymore, because people are like finding out, like, you know, I don't have to wait for Hollywood to green light my shit. I can just, like, Keke Palmer, I believe she started her own streaming service where they make their own movies and put them out there, and people are stand-up comics are becoming like close to billionaires, just booking stuff on their own like YouTube channels and all this other stuff. And it's just a shifting landscape. Like even me, like with my journalism, I did not want to work for corporate media again, right? So I started a Substack, and I'm already almost at 2,000 subscribers and like hundreds of paid subscribers, you know? So it's like, that's kind of where actors are at right now. And, you know, people, and like even with music, like Justin Bieber, when he came out, he really, like, I think it benefited him to sign with Usher and his label and stuff like that. But truth be told, he was becoming popular off of YouTube before he even signed with a label, you know. And people are becoming like artists are, but Chloe and Haley, you know, they were popular before they even got into that system. So Hollywood is just going to have to, you know, pay people what they got to pay them, or I don't know what the answer is, but it's just things have changed, you know.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, we were watching the Golden Globes last night because the Hockey Boys were presenting. Someone went on
I watched them too. Yeah,
movies are made to be shown in theaters and it's seen in theaters. Yeah. I don't remember who it was, but someone went on that rant.
Yeah.
Any resolutions, Rach? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, I said you got to give people incentives to want to go to the movies. Shit, man.
Yeah. You have to train people back into, and look, Nicole Kidman, God bless her. We all love Nicole Kidman. But you're not going to convince me to go to the movies just because you in front of every damn movie that they show Brent Chittenden. Like you said, there are things that we learned during the pandemic, habits that were formed during the pandemic, economic factors that we realized during the pandemic. So it's like, yeah, I'm a Marvel fan, Brent. I'm the opposite of Rachel. I am a Marvel. For the record, but even with some of these Marvel movies, like I would say like Fantastic Four, I didn't see it for opening weekend because I was like, you know what, I'll see it eventually before it leaves the theaters, but I don't have this strong pull. Like I did see Captain America opening weekend because I had to show up for Sam, but then Thunderbolts, I think I saw maybe the second or third weekend it was out. I think it was the second weekend Thunderbolts was out. I watched it.
But at least you went.
Yeah,
that's the thing is people aren't going necessarily.
Yeah, because
they're waiting until it hits Disney Plus.
Yeah, because even me, like, because going to the movies is not like easy for me to do anymore. So there are times this past year in 2025 where I was just like, this thing is going to be on streaming in like 2 months, so I can sit out the 2 months and just wait for it to get to streaming, you know?
Yeah. We saw Wicked in theaters. That was the last movie I went to, but like, I'm pretty sure it's already out on streaming. And if I knew that, I might not have gone. Honestly.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, it's just a new world, you know. Even like with the music stuff again, you know, nobody is buying any kind of hardware anymore, you know. Like this is just not where we are. That's why Jay-Z came out with Tidal, you know, or invested in Tidal or whatever, because nobody was buying CDs anymore, you know. I bought my nephew 2 video games for Christmas, and I thought I was, you know, being the good uncle. I bought him I bought a Mortal Kombat and Spider-Man. And then the PlayStation that he has doesn't take cartridges anymore. So
yep.
It's like, what the fuck, man? It's like, that's just people if like I think hardware, that kind of, I think we're just probably past that nowadays, which sucks for me because I used to think that was a good barometer of measuring things, because now people are calling like music artists platinum artists because people streamed your shit a bunch of times. I'm like, that's not fucking platinum. Platinum is going to the store, going to Best Buy, spending your $18 on a CD,
Sam Goody,
and having it. Yeah, Sam Goody, Disc Exchange, whatever.
Circuit City.
Yeah, Circuit City. That's to me like, because I mean, I stream stuff that I would never buy, you know, like songs. Yeah, I stream music like that I would never buy. Like the Weeknd, he's an artist I would buy the CD. And maybe Kendrick Lamar, but a lot of these other songs, it's like
you're not streaming Macklemore, Chris.
Yeah. Like if I like Macklemore is a good example. If I like the Macklemore song, I'm listening to that one song. I'm not buying the album, you know? And I think that's just kind of like, I think that's a lazy way of like saying, oh, this person is a bestseller because it's like someone streamed your shit a bunch of times, you know? It's like,
I'm really into K-pop, and for them, album sales is still a really important metric for measuring success. So they've had all sorts of different ways of incentivizing album buying, and the new one is you can buy just like a photo card, which are collectibles, but then it comes with a QR code to download the music, so it counts as an album.
That I like that idea actually, because I think that means someone liked you enough to go to the store and buy spend money, you know. It's like and that's just not something people do, you know, anymore. People are like, you know, like someone told me that that Chris Brown was the best-selling album artist of the 2010s. I was like, what metric are you using? And I went and read about that, and it was streaming numbers. I was like, I'm not buying Chris Brown albums. I'm like, who's doing that, you know? Like there's songs I'd listen to, but who's buying the fucking album, you know?
And I feel like this is a bit of a conversation for another day when it comes to physical media, because I'm somebody that still loves physical media. You know, I'll buy DVDs and stuff like that I enjoy. But when it comes to video games, man, Chris, I feel your nephew's pain, because I'm somebody like I bought a copy of NBA 2K23, I want to say, because that was a really good game and you can't download it anymore. And so I've got a physical copy of NBA 2K23 that I can upload to my PlayStation. But then there's other things, right, where it's like the next college football game comes out or the next Call of Duty comes out, and I'm like, I could go to a store and buy a physical version. I could order a physical version online, Brent, or I could just give these anonymous people my credit card right now and play the game in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Rachel, any resolutions for the people out there?
All right, I do have one. And it's that you're going to hop off your bullshit to the to the fandoms. You're going to hop off your bullshit. It's okay if you don't know the source material for Wonder Man. Don't pretend like you know the source material for Wonder Man or whatever other bullshit that is out there. Especially if you're just going to do it for something stupid like, oh, they turned the character black. Like, yo, it's 2026. Just cut the bullshit. That's where I'm at.
I like it.
My category.
Yes, I like it, and especially fellas in this space, and I'm sure you've witnessed it, Brent, in your occupation. Like, even if you know a little bit of something about the comic or the source material, like that doesn't give you the right to kind of down talk somebody who may be coming to this character with fresh eyes and things of that nature and mansplaining stuff like you don't know about. Let me tell you about Simon Williams. Like, you don't know about Simon Williams, sir. You read 2 comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. That luckily my shop at like the customer base is fairly progressive.
Okay.
Like it is mainly white older people. Like that's partially demographics of comics and partially the demographics of the area I live in. But we're pretty good at like trying to make everybody feel welcome, and I feel that's a culture that is spread in our store. We're pretty proud of it. Like there are a couple outliers. I can think of a couple who are just like you want to smack them upside the head. But the bonus is those guys usually come in when nobody else is around. So when they're spouting off their bullshit, nobody is there to be infected by it. And we just sort of like, yeah, that'll be $14.50. Thank you.
Oh, do you have any resolutions for the fandom, Brent?
This is the same resolution I would use for pro wrestling fans, and that is quit with your tribal bullshit.
Jermaine, I hope you listen to Jermaine Jones.
You don't have to be DC or Marvel. You can be both. I am one of those people. I like both. I dislike both. I am an equal opportunity lover and hater in these regards. It's just because like you like Marvel comics or DC comics doesn't mean that they don't do something great or also don't do something like terrible.
Yeah.
Like, and much back to the point, sometimes it's just not for you or it might just not be your thing. Like, I think if you look at my track record, I probably lean more Marvel than DC in terms of media stuff, but I like this summer, I like Superman a lot more than I like Fantastic Four. And I didn't hate Fantastic Four. Like, it was fine. Like it had some good parts about it and had other stuff that I was just like, that's okay. But I really liked Superman. So it's like, it's okay to like both. You are allowed to like things. You don't have to just sit on one side of the fence.
Yes.
Here.
I like that, Brent. That's a good one. Chris, do you have any resolutions for the fandom out there?
My resolution is just to keep kind of doing what we've been doing, Nate, over here. It's like after my experience this past week in higher education, it showed me that I need to kind of break away from these systems, and my Substack is almost to the point where I'm making a living wage off of it. So I'm kind of like, leaning into that a little bit more and just hopefully we, like bring that over into other independent streams of income away from these corporate overlords that exist in every aspect of working life. It's like I'm just kind of over that whole side of employment. So hopefully this is, we will continue 2026 doing what we were doing towards the second half of 2025.
Okay. Okay, and I think the last thing I would say on this is we see what the world is, Brent. We see what the world is, Chris. We see what the world is, Rach. Like there's a lot of bad stuff in the world, and so all of this, the comics, the games, the movies, the TV shows, is meant to be an outlet, meant to be an escape. And when you bring the bullshit from the world, whether you're talking about the political divides, whether you're talking about the isms, whether you're talking about othering people, then you taint this with the same stain that's on the world. Like we've seen what happened this past week in Minnesota. We see what's going on in other parts of the world. And so because that's one thing I always hear from those people who are like so anti-woke, Brent, like, this needs to be an escape from my problems. I don't know why I made that voice. Like that's, but that's the voice I always hear when I hear these statements. But it's like, if this is meant to be an escape from your problems, then why are you bringing problems on to other people within the fandom?
Yeah.
Like if this is all something we enjoy, if this is all something that we really like, Brent, and you know, whether a movie or a TV show or a comic is bad or good or whatever, like that's gonna happen because human beings create it. And human beings have different ideas of what can work, and sometimes it doesn't work. But to bring that same sense of negativity and that same sense of us versus them that exists in the world that you're trying to escape through these mediums into the mediums isn't going to help anybody, including yourself, miserable person on the internet that is trying to spoil everybody else's fun and not having any fun yourself. Tyrone Magnus, I'm talking to you. I said it. I said it. I call people. This is how we starting the year, Brent. Calling people out.
Calling people out.
Tyrone Magnus. Like Tyrone Magnus, I don't know why he gets me so angry. Actually, I do know why he gets me so angry, Rachel, because he's somebody that used to be a really fun commenter about all of this stuff. And then one day the switch just went off in his head. Maybe he figured he could get more views or get more money. And and he's a black man that loves to tear down black projects. I'm just like, I don't think that's the way, Tyrone Magnus.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Nate. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah,
and that's
same.
I'm glad that you and Brent have remained unscathed. Chris, do you know who Tyrone Magnus is?
I think so.
Yeah, Tyrone Magnus. Go back to the old Tyrone Magnus. How about that, sir?
Yeah.
I think we've all got people like that, though.
Yeah, I mean that's
for sure.
Yeah, that's just the age of social media too. You know, it's like people are trying to find their lanes, and a lot of people are trying to shortcut their way.
Yes,
millions, and it works for some people. You know?
Okay, I don't even remember who this person was, Chris, but let me tell you, and this made me visibly and viscerally upset, Rachel, not because of the content of the video, but because of how they framed the video, Brent, because it was obviously an attention-seeking move, obviously something to get more spins, obviously something to continue a grift. Because they showed the picture of Wonder Man. They showed like a picture of Yaya, like from the trailer, like doing one of his acting exercises, like caught him in like a silly frame. And they were like, why Wonder Man continues the MCU's path of wokeness, which will lead to them losing millions. And then I watched 3 minutes of the video, Brent, and they're like, yeah, this seems pretty cool. I'm interested in it. And I'm like, come on, fellas. I get it. Like, we want people to watch us too, Brent, but I think there is something to being honest and genuine with your audience. And there's a lot of people that are in this space that have kind of leaned towards the grift of it all.
That's just the commodification of content, right? Like, is like right now, at least one or two of us should be doing at least one still photo of. In the thumbnail of the video.
Like what I always tell these losers is that if there was money into this anti-woke bullshit, then we'd see more of it, if someone thought God's Not Dead Part 5 was gonna make $1 billion,
why do they have to make 5 parts? It seems like a very self-explanatory story.
Yeah, it would make $5 billion, it would make all that money, you know, and it'd have bigger actors in it than Melissa
Kevin
Joan
Sorbo.
Hart and Kevin Sorbo and stuff like that, you know.
Come on, Clarissa, you were supposed to explain it all.
Right, yeah. But I mean, the reason why the woke stuff, you see more of that, is because that's just what people want to see, you know. If the reason why Fox News is on the air is because it makes Rupert Murdoch money, and the reason why Fox News is the only network that can exist in that space is because that's a network for all the crazies, you know. And Rupert Murdoch has that market cornered, and anybody else that tries to corner that market is going to hit a brick wall called Rupert Murdoch, you know. It's so much easier. It takes longer, but it's so much easier to just do things ethically and honestly, and not try to, like, you know, be like this persona kind of person, you know. I don't know if you ever watched the Hodge twins, Nate.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they were like, I knew Keith Hodge. I remember when they used to live in Orange County. I mean, Keith was cool. I didn't know he had this kind of MAGA side to him. But the thing is it's good short-term money, but you know, that is gonna run out of steam eventually, you know. It's like, how are you going to keep making money off of that? Or are you just trying to make as big of a bag as you can and then retire off of it? But yeah, I don't understand this mindset after, like, because it just makes no fucking sense. There's no critical thinking involved in it. It's just, let's be the biggest ass we can be and see how much money we make from it, you know.
So you're saying we should not, because I was like, you know what, Rachel, maybe for this year we do a whole different dynamic where Rachel's the bleeding heart liberal, and she's like, I'm actually interested in Wonder Man, and I'm like, if Simon Williams ain't right, Simon Williams ain't white, Simon Williams ain't right. More like woke man, if you ask me, fellas.
Woke man.
Yeah.
Will that get us money?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna be accused of being woke if you're just like being nice, you know. Like,
just being a decent human being.
If you see Superman help a old lady across the street, someone will say, "That's fucking woke," you know. That old lady can walk herself across the street. Like, why are we giving out these handouts?
I said this in our Superman review, that like when I was seeing all the stuff about how woke the Superman movie was, I was expecting him to have a speech of like, we're all immigrants in our hearts.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do any of that shit.
Yeah. And that was
a story about all of this that sort of ties into this.
Okay.
So I didn't publicize it much. I come home from a weekend away with my wife to an email from a online and syndicated radio show hosted by Ben Mulrooney, son of former President Brian Mulrooney, or Prime Minister Brian Mulrooney. He was an entertainment reporter on a show that was kind of like Entertainment Tonight up here. And they wanted me to come on and talk Superman. And I'm like, yeah, not thinking about it. I just reply, yeah, sure. Send me the details, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah. You told us about this. I remember.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Go ahead and tell it again now.
So I start doing the research. I'm like, oh, he's on the right-wing side of the fence. This may not have been a good strategy. But as it turned out, like, it was fine. Like nothing. I was like, because I talked to a couple other, like, I'm pretty good friends with a guy who's pretty high up in radio and at the same company that Mulrooney's at. And he prepped me for it. He's like, okay, what I've seen about the Superman movie, this is what he's going to ask you. He's going to ask you about the immigrant thing. He's going to ask you like all these things. And I went in and none of that came up. Because at the end of the day, he just wanted to talk about Superman. which was fine. But it was like I was ready for it. I had a prepared sheet of answers to go to war and burn that bridge if I had to. But
yeah,
I think we've all had those moments.
yeah,
and that's at the end of the day, that's where we all want to end up, Chris. And Brent unknowingly has brought us full circle on this episode, because we started, Rachel, by talking about Canadian broadcasting.
We did.
With Allison
Mack. Oh,
we
no.
Did.
The Allison Mack podcast is produced by the CBC.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. They did a whole series about Nexium back in the day that I listened to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now it's
unveiling Nexium, whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah. So, did you guys talk about her appearance on what's his Rosenbaum show?
Rosenbaum, yes, we did.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Real quick, what'd you think, Brent? Because we talked about it at length.
Quite a while, yeah.
So I haven't heard. I can't bring myself to watch the whole thing, to be honest with you. I thought it was interesting, and kind of kudos to him in a weird way, because he's probably gotten asked about it a lot over the last couple of years. I know it comes up in at least 2 episodes of the show when he has other Smallville people on it, where they talk about we knew something was kind of going on, but didn't think it would end up like this. So but at the same time, is he is an actor. You know what I mean? I wouldn't expect super hardball questions from him. And at one time he had probably a fairly friendly relationship with this person. So.
Right. Yeah. The way I described it was he asked about as tough of a questions as you would expect a friend of hers that does an interview show to ask. Yeah. I don't think all of his questions were softball questions, but I don't think it wasn't it wasn't like a Barbara Walters interview in the 80s, put it that way, or Diane Sawyer or anything like that.
I imagine it was one of those interviews as well where her lawyer presented a list of a couple questions that he was not allowed to ask.
Yeah.
And he probably went wasn't oh damn it, I was it was yeah, okay. Then
I don't think he took it too hard.
But I will say that he did ask some questions that I wasn't expecting him to ask. I'll say that. There was a couple of those like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I will say, having listened to the whole CBC series, she, from a legal perspective, she's pretty open about it. She's pretty straightforward about what she did and didn't do. And there's a variety of views about how much accountability she takes. Some people think she takes more than some people do not. But I think it's a good lesson, at least.
And I also think that in terms of the Rosenbaum interview, Brent, I feel like if he were to go in with a harder tack, depending on what he and her lawyers discussed, I kind of feel like she wouldn't be up for that.
Right.
Just kind of based on what I've heard on that interview and also the CBC show. So I feel like this was kind of the happy medium, so to speak, where we get answers to some things, but he's not going to go into a deep dive, A, because probably he's not a journalist. B, there may be some legal thing, but then C, you don't want to, and this is something I've learned over the years too, Chris, you have to have a certain tact as an interviewer, and you want the conversation to keep going. And if you push buttons too hard, then that may short circuit the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. And
we've all been there.
And I'm not sure where Allison, what the, her crimes, what they prevent them from doing. But I know that there were laws passed after Mary Kay Letourneau, where that kid she got with and later married, she was able to make millions of dollars off of that crime. So they changed the law to where if you get there were other people that were doing that too. So they changed the law to where if you get convicted of a sex crime, or a crime like that, you're not making millions of dollars. So I don't know if she even had the option to go on like Oprah or a bigger show and collect a huge bag. I think. Yeah.
I can say I know she wasn't convicted of any of the sex trafficking stuff. It was more like RICO charges.
Yeah. So, but even that, like, say if it was only like RICO charges, I could see a situation where they say we're part of the settlement is okay. You can't like you can't cash out on this shit either. So,
no, I honestly don't know if we have that up here. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. So I assume we do, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And to what extent it covers too, right? Like,
it came out.
Does it cover crimes in the United States if she's profiting?
No, I think I think out here, I think even if you did it internationally, it would spill over to out here. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it works.
I personally, I don't think she made anything from the podcasting. I might be wrong about that, but that just seemed like I don't think it was a profit.
Yeah, I don't think she did. Yeah.
But those laws kind of came to a head. A lot of people knew about them when a certain terrible individual called O.J. Simpson tried to make a book called "If I Did It."
Yes, I was gonna bring up the juice. Like,
I
didn't do it, Rachel. I didn't do it. But if I were to have done it, hypothetically, this is like, come on, OJ.
I have opinions about that case and him as a person, but
he did make money off of that video that he came out with too.
That is still one of the most fascinating cases. And that OJ documentary that Ezra Edelman did was fantastic because I think he kind of went into why the case was bigger than the case and why the decision that was made was kind of the decision that had to be made in the moment, whether it was the right decision or not.
Yeah.
And speaking of failed pilots, how about that prank show that he had after that? Court case.
I forgot all about that. Yeah, OJ wanted to do a prank show. Like, come on, brother.
Yeah,
like
it
Punk.
was basically like
Punk,
Punk,
he wanted to do his version of Punk'd.
And his
O.J. Simpson comes out.
The catchprise was "You just got juiced." I remember that much.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember he did that interview with Ruby Wax, and at the beginning of the interview, he like had a knife and acted like he was gonna stab Ruby Wax or whatever.
It's like, come on, buddy.
Yeah, it was just kind of.
If I was OJ, Rachel, and I got away with this crime allegedly, any restaurant I'm going to, forks and spoons only. Forks and spoons. No knives. I'll find a way to cut my food some other way.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, because even like the second where the crime that actually got him put in jail,
for stealing his memorabilia back.
Yeah, I that one I really don't think he did anything wrong necessarily. I just think that he was such an easy target because of the shit he got away with. That was the make good. That was like Denzel winning an Oscar for Training Day that he should have won for Malcolm X. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like one
you
of those.
deserve this for the first thing, OJ, but we gonna give it to you now.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't really care about the second step. I'm just glad he's spending some time in jail.
Yeah. And that audio video that audio tape that came out cracked me up where he was like, y'all just think you could steal my shit and sell it,
like that's your job, OJ.
They were like
a salesman.
Yeah. And they were acting like he came in there with a gun and stuff. Oh, y'all didn't sound like this a person that was afraid of someone,
right?
As somebody who has been to those shows, the average memorabilia seller, even OJ at that point could kick the shit out of them with no problem. So they probably were fear.
Yeah, they were just scared, man. Shoot. But
and that's one of my favorite Cat Williams jokes ever when he's talking about stupid things celebrities do. He's like, OJ got sent to jail, not for killing people, but for stealing a picture of you. You stole a picture of you, simple bitch. Like, yes, he did.
Uh-huh.
And this has been Juice Corner on Super Solid Podcast. Wild tangent to go down. Rach, I think it's about time to.
Yeah, I think we're.
Once we go down the tangent, I think we've crossed the point of no return. But Brent or Chris, anything that y'all want to say before we wrap things up this week?
Just check us out on Post Wrestling on the NWA podcast, where a new episode's coming. This is the third Sunday, right? This Sunday, so
is it?
I think so. Yeah, so I think we got a new episode on Sunday. So
I'm on PTO this week, Chris. I just show up when people tell me to show up.
yeah. And then, just check me out on the Substack and subscribe here, all that stuff.
Brent?
You can find me at True North Nerds, truenorthnerds.com and patreon.com/truenorthnerds, where I talk about more stuff like this on every 2 weeks, as well. On Patreon, we've got a music podcast called Listen to This, and a show called Kung Fu Island with one of Mr. Nate Milton, which is also on the Nefarious Media Patreon. And we should actually sit down and talk about when we're going to do
season 2 is coming soon. Well, I hate to break it to you, Brent. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I've talked to the executives here at Nefarious, and we're just going to put all the episodes for season 2 out in one day because we don't have any faith in this season, Brent.
That's fine. That means we still have to record them.
That is the part of the plan we didn't think of. Ray Williams, get out here before we leave.
Oh, is Ray here?
Ray has been in the back the whole time.
He has been.
Hey, Ray.
Ray.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Ray Williams. Ray, do you have any resolutions for the fandoms before we get out of here? Anything except spoiling that the Thunderbolts were in fact the new Avengers?
I mean, I think you guys pretty much put it succinctly. I think I had something specifically for gaming fandoms. Just because a woke game can be bad, but a game, not all games that are woke are bad, if that makes sense. Or not. No, a woke game can be bad, but woke doesn't mean that it's bad, is what I
What is a woke game though, Ray? Like what games? Give me an example.
Well, I'm glad you asked. So a lot of people were talking about recently the most recent Assassin's Creed game that came out, Assassin's Creed Shadows. And a lot of people were debating the veracity of one, I believe it's Sasuke, who was a black man during like feudal China days, and he is a historical figure. He is.
I was going to say that's like historic fact.
Yes, but a lot of people.
History is woke, Brent.
Yes, how he was portrayed in this particular game. People were like, "Oh, you're trying to make everything woke and all this other stuff." It's like there are reasons, but there are reasons to say that the game is bad or is flawed in many ways, but don't try to put it all because there's a black man in Japan somewhere, like in feudal Japan.
Yes. And I bet the people that had those critiques loved Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai.
Of course.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like there could be reasons like because of the mechanics of the game or because the game didn't have enough fanfare, or because similar to Concord, which was a live service game that came out about a year ago, and it tanked like a rock to the point which it was taken off of online servers within like the first 2 weeks. Dang. And literally if you bought the game, you literally just bought like an $80 coaster because it was off the market faster, like and then the player counts were so low. So But then again, a lot of people again were saying, "Oh, because you get all these different diverse characters, that's why it failed because it was woke." No, I just think it wasn't that good of a
Yeah. When are those fools gonna understand they don't watch anything or buy anything or read anything? So something being woke doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
Like remember they got mad at LeBron James, we're never buying Nikes again. Like, you guys don't buy fucking Nikes.
Right.
And if you do, it's like, you know, it's not enough to matter.
Yeah.
You can hear more of Ray's thoughts on the gaming world this year, Ray, with the debut of one of our newest shows, Put You On Game, featuring Ray Williams.
Yes, and I think I heard from the execs that will also drop 20 episodes all at once.
Yeah, 20 episodes in one day. We don't have any faith in that either, Ray. I'm sorry. It's too woke.
Nobody good. Well,
And it'll all be 8-bit Nintendo games too.
Right. It's just Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley.
Yeah. The Power Pad running game. Yeah.
Is this before or after the audio podcast about horror Winnie the Pooh that Ray was going to do?
Oh gosh.
That's another thing Ray's got to do.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to. Yeah,
Ray's got a lot on his plate this year.
All the voices.
Oh,
yeah.
see, there's your hitch. There, Ray, is we can do that podcast, but now, in order to get the woke people and the anti-woke people talking about it, we need the Pooh's black.
Oh, see, you may
That's
just
not my Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, he might just have stumbled on something, Brandon.
Winnie the Pooh's not a black bear.
Black.
But yes, we do have a lot of things in the pipeline this year, and then Ray has set up a Twitch channel for those that are on Twitch, Nefarious Media Twitch channel, and he's done some tests, some late night tests on the technical side of things. So I'm looking forward to Put You On Game whenever it debuts this year for that one night.
Yes.
All right. Nate, you want to tell us where we could find you?
I will. It won't be on Put You On Game because those episodes are already in the can. We're dropping all 20 in one night, as Ray said. Actually, Ray, we need to do 4 more episodes, and then we'll just release 1 episode every hour on that one day.
Perfect.
That'll be it for your show, Ray. But yeah, you can find me here at the Nefarious Media Network. 2026, big year. We are, as we speak, people, 7 days away from our 1-year anniversary. So we started this in January of 2025. So we're excited for everybody that's come along on this journey, both here at the network and also for the folks at home watching and listening. We appreciate you, and we're going to do it bigger and better this year. If you want to help us out, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Nefarious Media Network. Because even though it's a new year, Ray, we are still on the drive for 500 Patreon subscribers, which will help us do a lot of things here at the network, and 500 YouTube subscribers, which gets us halfway to monetization. Those are our stretch goals for this year. We know we can get there, but we can't get there without you. And so, you know, I'm excited for this year, Rachel. I'm excited that you're part of the team now. You know, and I'm just wondering about this Wonder Man. So I'm excited for Wonder Man. I don't know when the next time we're gonna do a Super Salad is, but if it's after the 27th, we'll definitely come back with some thoughts on Wonder Man. Having seen that, but yeah, just keep supporting us, folks. Keep following us, and we're gonna have some fun in 2026. Rachel Eiley, OG Rachel on these streets, the woman that consumed all of the Allison Mack information that we need to know in one plane ride. What?
I did. I listened to it all in one plane ride.
What have you got going on, and where can people find you on these internet streets?
All right. So I pretty much only have my Twitter account going on. That's about most of my internet consumption these days. But you can find me at Rachel Eiley on Twitter. That's RACHELEILEY. Otherwise, I will say the world is getting kind of hard these days. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Put goodness and kindness into the world. If you're someone that has a bit of privilege and you can make things uncomfortable for some of our colder overlords, maybe think about doing that. Don't get yourself in trouble, but a little civil disobedience never hurt anybody. So, and to those of you who might be feeling targeted in this time, please know that you are loved and cared for, and that this time will pass. All right.
Rach.
We are taking it out now, so I guess we will wrap up another episode of.
I was gonna say, have you figured out a way to end these shows yet?
I really have not. I've been thinking. I'll come up with something one of these days. I promise. But
somebody save me.
Catch us on
Get the music, Ray.
Catch us on the flip side. We're out.